The PDP Presidential Campaign Office says the documents released by Government College, Katsina, showing the results of the APC presidential candidate are manipulated and fraudulently procured. The Director of Media for the campaign organization, Femi Fani-Kayode, told journalists in Abuja that the APC presidential candidate has only stumbled into a new phase in the matter. Using an enlarged printout of the documents, Mr. Fani-Kayode showed what he said were clear indications of alterations and cancellations that questioned the authenticity of the documents.
It is unfortunate that the more General Buhari tries to extricate himself from the crisis, the more he stumbles into a new phase in the unfolding narrative of his obvious complicity in a matter that borders on perjury and which has called his avowed integrity to question. The results sheet, which was attributed to the Cambridge examination body, is clearly a superimposition of one document on another. The column lines on the part where names are printed do not align with the blank columns, while there is an introduction of extraneous lines on some other columns. Our conclusion from all this is that the documents purportedly released by Government College Pilot Katsina, upon which the APC presidential candidate hopes to bury the doubt about his eligibility for next month's election, are forged, manipulated, and fraudulently procured. They are therefore untenable in fact and in law. I'm interested, we are interested, the Nigerian people are interested in the production of the certificate. That will end all this. The question for us, or for him, is why is it that up until now, he has not produced it? And are we to be satisfied with this fake, forged document? This is evidence of absolutely nothing. The only evidence that this provides is evidence of fraud, evidence of dishonesty, and evidence of a desperation to get power.
State commands of the Nigerian police force have been meeting with political parties and politicians ahead of the forthcoming elections, educating them on the need to ensure orderliness in the course of their election campaigns. At stakeholders' fora in Kogi, Anambra and Ondo states, the police commissioners warned politicians against the use of abusive words as well as thugs and dangerous weapons to terrorize their political opponents.
President Electoral Commissioner for...
This meeting involves the police and leaders of political parties at the State Command headquarters in Lokoja, Kogi State. It is aimed at enlightening stakeholders on the rules governing the conduct of campaigns in order to ensure peace before, during and after elections. Also at the meeting are representatives of the INEC, the MBA, youth organizations, civil societies, marketsmen and women. Unguarded utterances, thuggery and disrespect for one another are part of the issues at stake.
The rest assured in Kogi State that we never be party to any act of robbery, any act of any crime whatsoever criminality as far as this period is concerned and beyond. I want to assure you that the police in Kogi State under my command will not exhibit any bias.
But political parties accuse the police of taking sides with the party in power. Away from Kogi to Anambra State in the southeast, where the police command is also reading the riot acts to politicians.
Most of our contemporary politicians have taken as a favorite pastime to make it an utterances that are provocative, exciting, malicious, and unfounded. You are hereby enjoined to caution all your political members and sympathizers alike to conduct their affairs within the ambit of the law, as no one is above the law of the land.
A forum of same also holds in Akure, Ondo State. The Commissioner of Police, Isaac Eke, appeals to politicians and the supporters to avoid any form of violence.
I wish to implore political parties, politicians, most especially those vying for elective offices in the states and federal legislatures, to imbibe the spirit of sportsmanship during the campaigns and elections and to shun acts of violence, thuggery, intimidation, and passive opponents, snatching of ballot boxes and other electoral vices, and the police will not hesitate to deal decisively with any persons or persons, no matter how highly placed, trying to disrupt the state.
While warnings are read out to politicians, the police is expected to play its role effectively by ensuring that its men are adequately deployed to forestall any disturbances.
Away from politics now, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has demanded that states tender an account of how they disbursed the flood relief fund given to them by the federal government for flood victims. The Flood Relief and Rehabilitation Fund was part of an initial 17.6 billion naira intervention from the federal government, 13.3 billion of which was released to the affected states, and 4.3 billion to federal government ministries and agencies in 2012. Deputy Director of Disaster Risk Reduction, NEMA, Kayode Fagbemi, told advocacy groups and journalists in Abuja that most of the relief materials during the period were provided by NEMA with little input from states. Our correspondent, Gloria Umezioke, reports.
In 2012, an unprecedented flood ravaged several states in Nigeria, killing over 363 persons, affecting over 7 million people, and displacing 2.3 million. In response, a total of 17.6 billion naira was immediately provided by the federal government. States received 13.3 billion naira, while federal agencies received 4.3 billion. The actual disbursement of that fund by states has in recent times raised a lot of concern.
When there is a disaster or a problem in a country, an NGO or development partner use the same disaster to secure funds, we should sit down together on the table and say, these are the areas of gaps where the money should be spent. I think we need to go back to the states. By holding the Accountant General responsible, we need to go to maybe Accountant General of the states to ask how those money, was spent.
Several flood victims in some states say they got as little as 200 naira and utilities such as mattresses and blankets. 46-year-old Joe Ayemo from Edo State Relief Camp lost his daughter in the disaster.
If I tell you that during that flood, we had a lot of epidemic. I lost my daughter during the process, and all those things, they were very, very painful. So at the time, everything was over, and then you see some people. I was really fortunate. See some people, some had 10,000, some 2,000. The money were not enough.
They gave me pot worth of 200 naira and 2 sachets of salt as for the flood relief. And we learned that they brought, Dangote brought a lot of rice, millet and other things, and even rice. But could you believe me? We, the victim, didn't enjoy the flood. But people that were not capable of the flood, that lived the township, enjoyed the flood. Enjoy the victim, the relief more than ourselves.
As it stands, many of the victims are yet to receive any tangible assistance after their stay at the camps. Some have died, while some others who lost their homes are living in despondency. This is another cry they hope would get the appropriate attention. Gloria Umezioke, Channels Television News.
Nigeria and France are partnering in the renewed drive to fight economic and financial crimes. The anti-corruption agencies of the two countries met in Abuja today, where both countries agreed to pursue investigations into financial crimes between the two countries with vigor.
I wanted to seize this opportunity to say that anybody who commit economic crime in France and come in Nigeria, or in Nigeria and go to France, will be prosecuted.
In the same token, if somebody commits a crime in France and runs to Nigeria, we're always here to liaise with them and ensure that such a person is properly brought to book. A lot of things have been going on, which maybe the public are not aware of. We have intensified our efforts in the fights against economic and financial crimes, especially corruption. And like I said the other day, we are targeting a lot of people the investigations are at preliminary stages, and therefore we may not be able to provide names and details of the investigation because it will jeopardize the investigation at this stage. But to assure Nigerians that the fight against economic and financial crimes and corruption most especially is going on with full vigor, but it takes time for these cases to reach fruition so that it can be taken to court and made public to members of the public. Unfortunately, we are in a hurry. Anytime there's an investigation, people want to hear who is being investigated. But by mentioning names, you jeopardize other aspects of the investigation.
When the news at 10 returns, Central Bank of Nigeria increases forex trading limits for banks by 0.4% to shore up dollar liquidity. Please join us again.
There's something